Welcome to Back in the Groove, where I'm rediscovering vinyl after getting my vinyl collection out of storage after 25 years. And today is a super exciting day for me because this is the first time I've done a record haul in about 25 years. And when I say done a record haul, I don't mean doing a video about a record haul. I mean actually buying records, buying vinyl in about 25 years or so. So super exciting. The wife and I went out today and went to a store about 25 miles away from our house. We've got nothing else closer to us. And I'd never been to this record store, at least never been for about 25 years. I do remember going once when we first moved to this house. We've been here about 26 years or so. We went to this record store, and immediately I got there, my eyes lit up because the entire store was on 50% discount. The guy who's running the store was looking to retire, and as a matter of course was offering everything in the store, no matter what it was, vinyl, CD, singles, everything had a 50% off the marked prices. So that was the good news. Now the bad news for me was that primarily I would be looking for hard rock, heavy metal, whatever you want to call it. That is what I would call my sort of default genre, if you like. Of course, I'm into other bits and pieces, little bits of jazz, bits of country, and lots of progressive rock as well. And the downside for me was that the heavy rock section, as it were, had been really pilfered already. This 50% sale had been running for a while, and a lot of that good stuff, or what I suspect to be the good stuff, was pretty much well picked over. But that didn't stop me getting some gems. First up, we've got Tallers. Now, Tallers are, I think, from Buffalo, if memory serves me right. And they're famous for Billy Sheehan being in the band, and they're a great band. If you've never tried Tallers, then I definitely recommend trying them out. This is Sink Your Teeth Into That, which is a great track, and it's a great album, this one, in fact. It's got Shy Boy on here, which you might remember from Dave Lee Roth, of course, Billy Sheehan going on to join the Dave Lee Roth band after leaving Tallers. And if you look at Billy Sheehan on here, he is super young looking on here, but a great album. Now, this one, the guy had marked up at £20. This was the most expensive record of the batch that I'm going to show you today. And he had this marked up at £20. Now, that would mean that this would be £10 to me. But when I looked at it, there was a couple of little splits in the inner sleeve, nothing major, but the inner sleeve was cut along the edge. I can't remember which edge it is now, but there was a little cut in there, and asked him if he could do anything off it, and so he knocked it down to 15, which meant that this was £7.50 to me, which I was very happy with. I don't have any Tallers on vinyl, and really thrilled to pick that up. Next up for me is this one. This is Cozy Powell's solo album. It's got Cozy on, of course, Jack Bruce, Don Airey, amongst others. Now, I do think I've certainly heard this before, but nothing really sticks out in memory for me. So I'm looking forward to trying this one out and seeing how good an album it is. I'm not expecting anything spectacular from it, if I'm honest, but it's Cozy Powell, and I just had to pick it up. Now, this one was something like, now, unfortunately, I can't remember all of the prices, but this was listed at something like £7, which meant this was £3.50. So a great buy. So as you can see, I think the record store was very nicely priced. Even at the full prices were pretty decent. Now, next up, we've got City Boy. This is the first City Boy album, I believe, and I do like other City Boy that I've listened to. Mike Slammer is guitarist in this. Now he was the guitarist in Streets. I talked about Streets being a great band, and this is not an album I'm familiar with. I think the one I've got is The Day the Earth Caught Fire, which is really good, a really good track. Now, he had this listed at £10, so I picked this up for a fiver, which I thought was really good. Next up for me is Ezo. Now, Ezo were a Japanese band around the early 80s. I'm not sure which year this album came out, but this is the follow-up, or at least I assume it's the follow-up to the debut album. Now, I do have the debut album. The debut album was produced by Gene Simmons, and at the time of the debut album, they were shown on the back of the album as having a lot of sort of black makeup, kind of mask style, a la Kiss. Now, how much of that was the Gene Simmons influence? I'm sure we can all only guess. But Ezo, a pretty decent hard rock band from Japan, as I say, and I thought that was well worth picking up. That one was, I want to say that was about £3 to me, £6 or £7 listed. Same with this one. This is a Pat Travis band, and this one is Heat in the Street, which I know very well. I'm a massive Pat Travis fan. I really love Pat Travis's stuff, and I think I've got this one on CD. So this is a CD replacement. Heat in the Street itself is a great track, of course, and there's some other good stuff on here. Evie, not to be mixed up with Stevie, but another good album, and again, just for a few pounds. Now, next up are two albums that I got quite excited to find, really. This is Wildlife, and Wildlife Steve and Chris Overland's band before FM. So this is pre-FM, and they did two albums, I believe. This one has got Simon Kirk on drums, Philip Susan on bass, Mark Booty keyboards. I'm not familiar with Mark Booty, but this is a good album, and I was really pleased to see this in the wild. Now, this he had marked up at £9, so that was £4.50 to me. Great buy. I mean, I would have been happy to pay the £9 if I'm honest. Now, this one is Wildlife Burning, and I think this was the first one, actually. I think the one I just showed you is probably the second album, although this one also has Pete Jupp on drums, so another FM connection there. So we've got three of the FM band members performing on this particular album here. So really thrilled. Much in the vein of FM. If you're an FM fan, then I'm sure you can't go wrong with these. And Steve Overland's voice is up there with, you know, some of the great vocals of lots and lots of rock bands in the hard rock genre. So definitely one to look out for. Now, next up is Tigers of Pangtang. This is The Cage, and this is the album. I think I saw them on this tour. I never got to see them with John Sykes. This is the one where Fred Purser, I believe, took over from Sykes, I think. And this has got some great songs on there. Love Potion Number 9 was a great cover song. It's got Rendezvous, Paris by Air, and probably my favourite Tigers of Pangtang album. Now, next up, we get to a batch of albums that were under the heavy rock compilation albums. And normally it's not necessarily something I would do. I wouldn't be heavily into compilations, but at these prices with 50% off, most of what I'm going to show you now were around the £2.50 mark. and I think these are good buys to get some of the bands on some of these albums. So first up, we've got this Carrera Heavy Metal Thunder sampler. So we've got Saxon, Rage, who were formerly Nuts, of course. We've got Demon, Dokken. We've got Rose Tattoo. So some really good stuff on here. We've got Saxon's Heavy Metal Thunder. We've got Rage's Long Way From Home. We've got Denim and Leather, Assault and Battery by Rose Tattoo, Liar by Demon, Total Possession, another Demon song. So well worth £2 in my opinion. And the next sampler is Metallurgy. Now, bands on here are ones that I'm not so familiar on. There are a couple of tracks on here from Magnum. So it's an appearance of Magnum on here from the early days. And there's a little photo. I'm not sure how much we can make out of that, but a nice little photo of Magnum from the early days there. We've got Bernie Torme on here, of course, pre-Gillen. And then other bands on here, Quartz, Widowmaker, and who else have we got? I think that's it. Quartz, Widowmaker, Bernie Torme, lots of Widowmaker on here. There's about three or four tracks, so really pushing them. Now, next one up is this one, Brute Force. Now, so this is much more of a new wave of British heavy metal album. And one of the things I really liked about this album in particular, apart from just the bands on there, was this style of cover on the back is just fantastic. So you've got all of these new wave of British heavy metal bands on the back with full lineup details and information about each of them, which I think is fantastic. And one of them on here, White Spirit, were a local band to me. I live back in the northeast. I'm actually from Middlesbrough originally. So I'm well versed with White Spirit. In fact, one of the local bands I was in at the time supported White Spirit, although it was at a later date when Mick Tucker, who later went on to be in Tank, was in the band. And yeah, really nice to have that on here. We've got White Spirit, we've got Fist, UK version of Fist, we've got some Diamond Head, Sledgehammer, Raven. So a nice little sampler to pick up there. So really pleased with that one in particular. And again, like £2.50 to £3, something like that. Really good. Similarly, we've got this one, Precious Metal. Not sure if I've had this one before. I think I might have had it before, but no, it's no longer in my collection. But this has got some classics on. We've got Bread Fan by Budgie. We've got some Tigers of Pang Tang, Wishbone Ash, New England, Axe, Steppenwolf, Gary Moore, Back on the Streets. So a really good album. And one other comment about these albums when I was looking through them, which I was really impressed with, the quality of them, at least visually, they look in really excellent condition. All of the vinyl was in really good looking condition, and the same for the majority of the covers. The Brute Force one was probably the worst of the covers. Now, next up, we've got another compilation. This one's Thunderbolt, and this is on Thunderbolt Records. Now, this has got Warhorse, Samson, Tractor, Joy, Thunderstick. So, again, new wave of British heavy metal. Thunderstick, I remember seeing at the Middlesbrough Rock Garden, or what became the Cavern. In fact, I saw them because Limelight were supporting them at the time, and I think I actually recorded that Limelight show, and that was a real reason I was there. And the Thunderstick were just a real curiosity to me, and of course Thunderstick, real name Barry, and yeah, he's something of a character, and not the best drummer in the world. Next up, we've got Living Legends compilation. Now, this features 2 tracks from a number of artists. We've got Thin Lizzy, Status Quo, Def Leppard, Black Sabbath, and Rush on this compilation. So, don't know if you can make out those titles or not. We've got Def Leppard Rocks Off, which is a great opening riff to Rocks Off. Satellite. For Thin Lizzy, we've got Suicide and The Rocker. Great tracks. Rush, we've got Overture and the Temples of Syrinx, and then What You're Doing from, I think, the debut album. We've got Black Sabbath, Junior's Eyes from Never Say Die, and Die Young from Heaven and Hell, of course. Couple of Status Quo tracks, Rain and 4,500 Times. Again, £2.50 bargain, absolute bargain. Now, those were the albums that I picked up. And then I thought I'd have a look at the 12-inch single section, which was much better populated for the hard rock stuff. And one of the ones that I picked up was this black box, and I was a little bit intrigued, wondering what it was. And when I opened it, it is an Extreme 12-inch, which came with a poster. And this is Hip Today, and nice little 12-inch. Looks absolutely brand new, as most of these 12-inches do. We've got a mint poster in there. The only thing that I've found that's missing with the box, having looked on Discogs at this, is the Obi strip. So there should be an Obi strip showing that it's Extreme and Hip Today. But otherwise, great. Now, all of the 12-inch singles that I'm going to show you were priced at £5, which on their own might have been a little bit expensive, but remember, 50%. So I've paid £2.50 for each of these 12 inches. Next up, we've got Gary Moore, Too Tired. So this is from Gary Moore's bluesier albums, and I got this, if I'm honest, because it was a white label. I wasn't sure what it would be worth, whether it would be worth any more because it's a white label. I don't think it particularly is, but that was why I picked it up. And then next up, a bunch of singles, 12-inch singles that I was really thrilled to come across. One of my most sort of loved bands, for whatever reason, I think it's just the image, the antics, the lyric content's been very tongue-in-cheek, etc. But it's Wasp, and this is Animal, I Fuck Like a Beast, and this is the live version of that. But it does, of course, have the regular version on the back as well, and an unreleased track called DB Blues, which I'm looking forward to listening to. So really pleased with that one. Again, £2.50, absolute bargain. Next up, another Wasp one. This is Chainsaw Charlie, Murders in the Rue Morgue, and a real good track. It's a gatefold sleeve that has a 3D image in, and it's meant to come with a pair of 3D glasses so that you can see the image, which it doesn't come with. But this has got Chainsaw Charlie, Phantoms in the Mirror, and then the story of Jonathan on the back there. So a nice one there. Another Wasp one, and again, this was, pretty much, really good condition, and really pleased to come across this. He actually had 2 copies of this there, and later told me, in fact, when I was talking about the 12 inches, because remember how pilfered the rock section had been. He'd said that he'd recently found a box of 12 inches out the back that he'd just come across, and I was one of the first ones to get to that box, I think. So maybe some of the stuff I was getting from here was a little better. Another gatefold sleeve, and this has got some nice tracks. We've got Mean Man, and then we've got a cover of Locomotive Breath and For Whom the Bell Tolls on the back there. And then we've got another Wasp 12-inch. This is The Real Me, with Lake of Fools and Warcry on the back. The Real Me is a really nice track, and this is good in that it opens up into an enormous poster like an A1 size poster. First of all, you get this gatefold affair with the band, but if you were to open the poster up, then you end up with this picture in a sort of A1 size poster. And then last but not least is another Wasp one, Forever Free, with Love Machine, a live version of Love Machine on the back, and a live version of Blind in Texas. Now, I'm not sure if they are both from the live album or whether those are different cuts. It says they were recorded on the 15th of May 1989 at the Hammersmith Odeon. I don't know if that is the same as the live album. But there you go. What do you think? That's my first record haul in about 25 years. Now, I must admit, I probably wouldn't have bought as much had there not been 50% off. But I'm also thinking of going back before too long. As I said, most of the rock stuff is wiped out, but I didn't have a lot of time to look at the other categories and see if there was anything worth having in there. There might be some nice jazz albums, or some bits of country, or even some classic rock. I did have a look to see if there was any Zappa, etc., that I didn't have, and there really wasn't. There were bits of things like Rick Wakeman, etc., that I already had. So nothing that really jumped out at me, but I think I'll certainly be paying another visit before too long. So hope you found that interesting. It's always nice to see what other people are picking up, I think. And if you did, remember, give me a thumbs up. And if you're interested in the content, do subscribe to the channel. But until next time, I'll see you in the next video.